Mary, Mary, quite contrary, my Afghan grows with cockle shells all lined up in a row. Featuring the classic shell pattern, the Cockleshell Afghan is the second Afghan in my D&D family of Afghans. So easy to make, there is no finishing. This Afghan has a built-in border at the beginning, the end, and along the two sides. When you're done, it's done. For this one-color Afghan, light colors such as soft white, pale gray, blues, pinks, and beiges will keep the attention focused on the dramatic lines of the stitch pattern. To download the pattern for free, follow the instructions in the description below. Start by making a slip knot and chaining 171 for a 50-inch wide Afghan. To adjust the size, add or subtract 8 stitches for every 2 inches. To demonstrate the stitch pattern and techniques, I am working on a swatch starting with 35 chains. If you choose a 4-ply cotton yarn to practice, your swatch will turn into an attractive dishcloth. Roll the chain to the back to expose the bumps. This is the third loop on the back of a chain. Working in this loop, slip stitch in each stitch until the end. Make sure you work that first slip stitch in the very first chain. Continue to slip stitch across the row, and I'll meet you at the very end. You've just completed the D&D Foundation row. The first row of the cockleshell stitch pattern is established on the next row. You will need to pay attention on this one row and count stitches. Turn your work and then chain 1. 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Make sure that you put your hook under both loops of the stitch below. Then skip 3 stitches. Then in the next stitch, making sure you catch both loops, work 7 double crochets. The 7 double crochets will make the first shell. Now skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and work 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Make sure to catch both loops. See how that shell lines up? Okay, now skip the next 3 stitches and work 7 more double crochets in the next stitch to make the next shell. And you'll continue down this way all the way to the end of the row. At the end of the row, there should only be 5 stitches remaining. This is how you end off. Skip 3 stitches, then work 1 single crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. These 2 stitches become the border stitches. See how nice that lays out? After row 1, you should have 2 edge stitches and 21 shells if you were doing a full-size Afghan. If you're working the dishcloth, you will have 4 shells. It's time to go on to row 2. Chain 3 and turn. The chain 3 will count as the first double crochet. Now work one more double crochet in the top of the next single crochet. That creates your 2 edge stitches. Chain 3 and jump over to the center double crochet in the shell. That will be the 4th double crochet. Insert your hook under both loops and work 1 single crochet. Now chain 3 more. And now we're going to work a cluster in the single crochet that is between the 2 shells. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. You now have an extra loop on your hook. It's like the first half of a double crochet. You're going to do 2 more of these. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you have a 3rd loop on the hook. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you have 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 4 to complete the cluster. See how that cluster looks? Right, and fits right in between those 2 shells. Now chain 3, jump over to the top, the middle double crochet of the shell, insert your hook under both loops and make a single crochet. Chain 3, and you're going to go on and make another cluster. At the end of the row, you're going to put a single crochet in the top of the last shell, chain 3, and then work 2 double crochets in the last 2 single crochet stitches. Once again, you're making the border. It's time to start row 3 with 1 chain and turn. Similar to row 1, row 3 starts and ends with the single crochet edge stitches and adds another row of shells. But there is a little trick to it, so watch carefully. We've already chained our 1, so now we're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches to form the border. Let's examine the border. The first row starts with 2 single crochets, the second row 2 double crochets, and then the third row 2 single crochets. You're going to repeat that to form the border all the way up. Now, we're going to go and jump over to the single crochet that sits at the top of the shell and work another shell. So we're going to work 7 double crochets into that stitch. To make that shell very secure, go under both loops of the single crochet. When the shell is completed, we still have to tie it down. Once the shell is formed, locate the top of the next cluster. This is a little different on this row than on the beginning row. Here's the trick. You will insert your hook in the chain before the cluster and pull up a loop. Then insert your hook in the top 2 loops of the cluster and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. What this does is it widens the stitch so the column between the shells is even all the way up the afghan. Now, you just need to jump over to the single crochet located at the center of the shell and work the next shell in it. Continue across, and after the last shell is worked, work 1 single crochet in each of the last 2 edge stitches. From now on, just repeat row 2 and row 3 until the piece measures the desired length. For the full-size Afghan, that would be 66 inches, or 9 inches for our swatch. Make sure to end after row 2, as this sets you up for the D&D Finishing Row. Now for the D&D Finishing. Work 1 slip stitch in each stitch across the row. It's that simple, but there's a little time-saving trick for this too. First, slip stitch in the top of the 2 edge stitches. When you reach a chain 3 space, instead of trying to get your hook into the tight little chains, here's how to work it quickly. Work 1 slip stitch into the space, then 1 slip stitch into the center chain of the space, and then 1 slip stitch into the space again. Then work 1 slip stitch into the single crochet at the center of the shell, and you're at another chain 3 space. Work that one the same way with a slip stitch into the space, a slip stitch into the center chain, and a slip stitch into the space. Then work 1 slip stitch into the top of the cluster. Isn't that a wonderful edge? It's that easy. Now, continue until just the last 2 edge stitches remain. And, of course, work 1 slip stitch in each of them. Cut the yarn end and weave it in. You're done! I hope you enjoy making the Cockleshell Afghan. Please take a moment to subscribe to the Twisted Yarns YouTube channel to get notifications when new videos are available. Happy crocheting!